Right now on Morning News Now, the stage is set for a showdown to win your vote. This morning, President Biden and former President Trump gearing up to go head-to-head in their first presidential debate of the season.
A hot mess. I expect a hot mess.
These are the two most disliked candidates in presidential campaign history. They need to give voters something fresh.
We have team coverage with the final preparations underway in Atlanta. Also this morning, Supreme Court stunner, a closely watched decision on abortion, mistakenly posted online ahead of its official release. Now the nation's highest court acknowledging the document that suggests it would allow for emergency abortions in Idaho. More on the misstep, the mixed reaction, and what could come next. And parts of the Midwest reduced to rubble after days of severe storms. Now entire neighborhoods left to deal with the damage as the floodwater rises. All this as we track more severe weather threatening several states. Meanwhile, across the country, the heat goes on with more triple-digit temps on the way. We'll have your forecast. Plus, partnership and progress for the LGBTQ+ community after restrictions for donating blood are lifted. The new summer program encouraging everyone to give back with pride.
An important conversation. We're going to talk to someone who it's a very personal story for them as they've been pushing for some of these changes. Good to have you with us. I'm Joe Fryer.
And I'm Savannah Sellers. Thanks for joining us this Thursday. We begin this morning in Atlanta, where later tonight, the first presidential debate of the general election between President Biden and former President Trump will take place.
This will be the first time the two have been on the same stage together since they debated during the 2020 election. Both men spent the past week preparing for this highly anticipated rematch in very different ways. This 90-minute debate will be different from anything we've seen in recent years. It'll take place at CNN's Atlanta studios with no audience. Also, it's happening much earlier than normal. Past presidential debates have traditionally happened in the fall, just ahead of Election Day. Recent polls show the race for the White House is a tight one right now. President Biden and former President Trump are neck and neck with just over 4 months until Election Day.
For more on what we can expect tonight, we are joined by NBC News senior national politics reporter Jonathan Allen, as well as NBC News correspondent Vaughn Hilliard, who is in Atlanta at the site there. Good morning to both of you. John, I will start with you. Walk us through some of the unique rule changes for tonight's debate and remind us why Mr. Biden and Mr. Trump are debating ahead of their party's convention specifically.
Well, I think if you just back up a little bit, if you zoom out, the reason for these rules and the reason for this early debate is when Joe Biden wanted to do it, it's how Joe Biden wanted to do it, or at least how his campaign did. Donald Trump had challenged him to debate anytime, any place, and Joe Biden responded by saying, okay, fine, here's where I want to debate, here's when I want to debate, and here's how I want to debate. And in terms of the unique rules, you mentioned earlier there won't be any audience in the room, but what folks should really pay attention to and may help them pay attention to what the candidates are saying is you're going to have some uninterrupted answers. I wish I could get that out better from these candidates. You're going to have 2 minutes for the first response. You're going to have a minute for a rebuttal, a minute for a counter rebuttal, and the microphones are going to be muted when each candidate isn't talking. That's an attempt to avoid the type of interruptions we saw in the first debate between them in 2020.
Vaughn, let's bring you in here. Former President Trump has often mocked President Biden during campaign events. It seems he kind of changed his tune recently, calling the president a worthy debater, perhaps trying to raise the bar instead of lower it. What else is Mr. Trump saying about his rival?
You know, I think if you go back 1 month ago when two men first agreed to this debate, the sound that comes from Donald Trump about Joe Biden is very different. Initially, he said that Joe Biden was the worst debater of all time and that he couldn't string two sentences together, that he wouldn't even be able to walk across the stage. Fast forward to this last week and where we find ourselves now, well, the expectation setting has been lowered a little bit for Joe Biden. Instead, Donald Trump has suggested that he is a, quote, worthy debater and somebody who is going to be amped up on drugs. Now, let's be very clear. When we say that, there is no evidence, and Donald Trump has nothing behind those statements other than to try, in the minds of Americans who are going to be tuning in tonight, to discredit Joe Biden's performance up on the stage. Of course, the question here is for President Biden. Folks will recall there was expectation setting 4 years ago by Donald Donald Trump when he said that he was sleepy Joe Biden hiding in his basement, that he was not going to be able to be a good debater, and he also accused him of being on drugs in that debate. And that's where this expectation setting by Donald Trump has led to some concern that Joe Biden will surprise many Americans who have seen either misleading clips posted online or Donald Trump, almost set those expectations that Joe Biden is not going to be able to perform on stage tonight, when each time he has taken the microphone in big moments, he has ultimately, in the Biden campaign's mind, delivered in front of the American public.
John, despite the fact that this is earlier than normal for a presidential debate, there is a lot of interest in it. A recent AP poll, in fact, shows about 6 in 10 Americans are extremely or very likely to watch tonight. What do you think that says about the interest in the election this far away from it when people will head to the polls?
Savannah, it tells me that people like to tell pollsters that they're more likely to watch presidential debates than they actually are. If you do a little bit of math, if 60% of American adults watch this debate, there'd be about 150 million people watching the debate, which would smash all kinds of records, not only for debates, but basically for television. I mean, I think about that number of people maybe watch the moon landing. That said, I think that there are a significant number of Americans that will want to see the difference between them. Some of them because they want to see their candidate beat up on the other one. Others because they're genuinely interested in potentially being persuaded. Debates do tend to get a pretty strong audience. I think there were 80 million that watched one of the Trump-Hillary Clinton debates back in 2016. So I think there is interest in watching them go up against each other. But, we still are dealing in a situation where most Americans disapprove heavily of one or the other candidate.
So, Vaughn, if you missed the first debate...
both of them.
Yeah, exactly.
I was just going to say, and some of them disapprove heavily of both of them.
Yes, the double haters, as we keep talking about. So, Vaughn, if you missed the first one, there'll be a second debate much closer to the election. It's scheduled for September. What do we know about that one so far? And just after tonight, where do the campaigns go from here?
We know quite just a little about that second debate, but we do know that there are going to be only 2 debates as it stands right now. The Biden team, as John was saying, laying out what they wanted in terms of debate agreement without going outside of the norm. And so you're going to have debate number 1 here, debate number 2 in September. Of course, we expect a vice presidential debate here as well. But of course, we're also waiting for Donald Trump to announce who his running mate would be to take on Vice President Kamala Harris in that debate. So the stakes of tonight, 4 months out, are going to be sky high, especially heading into next month's Republican National Convention and the Democratic National Convention in August, guys.
All right, Vaughn and John, thank you both very much. We will have much more on this first presidential debate hosted by CNN throughout the day on NBC News Now. And then tonight, our special live coverage gets underway at 7 p.m. Eastern. The debate itself is at 9 Eastern, 6 Pacific. You can watch all of that right here on NBC News Now, as well as on NBC.
The Supreme Court is set to issue another round of rulings this morning. There are outstanding cases that could impact the former president and those who took part in the January 6th attack on the Capitol. Now, in a strange twist yesterday, the High Court acknowledged that it inadvertently posted a document online related to a pending abortion case. It was obtained by Bloomberg Law before it was removed from the website. NBC News could not independently verify the document, and it's not known if it was the actual decision, a draft decision, or neither. NBC News Supreme Court reporter Lawrence Hurley joins us now for more on this. Lawrence, good morning. So not the first time documents related to the Supreme Court have been seen by the public before they were supposed to be. Famously, the Roe versus Wade decision in 2022 was leaked nearly 2 months before the final ruling was issued. So first of all, what did these prematurely posted documents tell us, keeping in mind we don't know if this was actually the final decision?
Yeah, I mean, this snafu seems a little different to what happened a couple of years ago. I mean, we don't really know what happened a couple of years ago because the court did an investigation and never figured out how exactly that ruling got leaked. Who knows? Maybe that was also some kind of IT problem like what appeared to happen here. But what I do know from my own experience covering the court is that there have been a couple of times where things have been posted online either before they're supposed to be released or in the wrong place, or and sometimes, you know, people see those things and they get taken down and that type of thing. So maybe, you know, the focus here should be on the Supreme Court's IT department more than anything else. But I think, you know, this ruling obviously is one of those significant cases that's coming up in the next few days. And it puts everyone on high alert as we get those rulings coming in.
What did the document say, again, knowing this may not be the final decision?
Yeah, it looks like, based on what this document says, is that the court's going to allow emergency room abortions in Idaho, which is one of the states that has passed very strict abortion laws after Roe v. Wade was overturned. And this is a conflict between federal and state law, where the Biden administration is saying there's a federal law covering emergency room standards that requires abortions to take place in these circumstances. But it looks like the court's not actually going to decide that question. Instead, it's just going to say, actually, we took this case up prematurely. We're going to actually just send it back to the lower courts and leave the issue unresolved. But in the meantime, the abortions can take place in these emergency room settings.
The fact that this document was posted inadvertently, what is the Supreme Court saying about it?
Yeah, they've said, they've acknowledged, as you mentioned, that there was a document related to this case that was posted inadvertently on the website and then removed. They haven't really said anything about the actual content of that. And so, they don't like to say anything more than what they want to say. So that's what we have for now. And I think it's very likely possible that, we're actually going to get that decision in a couple of hours when the court issues its next round of decisions.
Yeah, the Supreme Court likes to give out brief statements often. So while we do wait for that final decision, remind us the details of this Idaho case, how it even ended up before the Supreme Court.
Yeah, so one of the reasons why the court maybe is dismissing it is because it kind of rushed up to the court. Like, there's never been an appeals court ruling, for example, in this case. There was a district court judge who ruled in favor of the Biden administration's interpretation of that law, saying, yes, we think that the federal law does require abortions to take place, even when there's a very strict abortion ban, because federal law, if there's a conflict with state law, federal law wins. That's the sort of general principle. But that ruling was immediately appealed up to the Supreme Court by Idaho state officials before there was a full appeal. And once it got up to the Supreme Court, they heard oral arguments, and then clearly some of the justices were like, well, we're not sure if we actually want to go ahead and decide this case, just because some of the arguments changed. The Biden administration kind of backed off on some of its claims, and so did Idaho. So you ended up with a case where some of the justices, at least in this draft that appears to have been posted by accident, suggest that some of the justices are like, we don't want to decide this now. Let's wait for another day to decide this. So,
Lawrence, we're still waiting for 12 decisions from the Supreme Court. Real quick, remind us, what are the big ones we're waiting for beyond this abortion case?
Yeah, I mean, basically at this time of year, every case is a big case. But obviously the one that everyone is looking for is the Trump immunity case on the question of whether the former president can be prosecuted for his role in trying to overturn the election results in 2020 on this question of presidential immunity. And that's, clearly an important case that the court's going to be deciding next couple of days, as well as another one about one of the January 6th defendants who faced an obstruction charge. And then there's several other quite interesting cases that we'll be covering, and we'll be bringing all that to you when it happens.
All right. Lawrence Hurley, appreciate your reporting. Thank you so much.
Now let's get to that extreme weather battering the U.S. from coast to coast. So far, it's not letting up. People in Iowa are bracing for potentially more devastating weather headed into the weekend as some return home after evacuating due to flooding, only to find rubble. In South Dakota, one woman describing how she lost everything.
I have a tri-level house, so the two lower levels are wrecked, full of mud, gross, stinks to high heaven. No power, so everything we had in freezers, refrigerators is rotten. I saw my life is gone, and in my home. We could only grab what we could carry out, so it isn't much.
And today, millions of people are still under dangerous heat alerts. We will get to the forecast in just a moment. First, though, here's NBC News correspondent Jesse Kirsch, who you just saw there with the latest from the Midwest.
Joe and Savannah, good morning. You can see behind me a closer look at the devastation here in North Sioux City, South Dakota. Take a look at this structure collapsed into this hole in the ground that has formed here. You can see this truck is teetering on the edge here. This is just one example of the force of the floodwaters here. The recovery in this community continues as Americans across the country continue to deal with tough weather. Overnight, intense storms swept through the Northeast. New Jersey had wind gusts up to 60 miles per hour that downed trees and power lines. There were also ground stops for hours at airports in the New York City and Washington, D.C. areas because of thunderstorms. Take a look at this picture capturing a lightning bolt hitting the Empire State Building. All of this as we continue to keep an eye on floodwaters that continue raging past the Rapidan Dam in Mankato, Minnesota. The ground in that community giving way in portions as well. All of this as more than 20 million people face a summer heat wave that won't let up. Residents in Oklahoma and Texas dealing with another day of sweltering highs in the triple digits. And there are other communities that are bracing for the potential of more flooding, again, as recovery continues in hard-hit areas like where we are right now. Joan, Savannah, back to you.
Jesse, thank you so much.
For more on this relentless weather, let's bring in meteorologist Angie Lassman.
Yeah, she's here tracking the latest on the movement of all the severe weather for us this morning. Hey, Angie, good morning.
Hey, good morning, guys. We had quite an active night, as you heard Jesse talk about, across parts of the Northeast and the Mid-Atlantic. The good news for that region, those showers are moving out. We've just got a couple of lingering kind of showers right near the coast. Most folks, though, are going to get out the door this morning and be just fine through the day across this region. It's a different story, though, for the middle of the country. That's where we're going to watch for another round of some of these stronger storms to develop through the day today, thanks to this system that's going to be working its way east over the next couple of days. One of the problems is going to be the heavy rain that we see impacting folks that have already been hard hit. You heard Jesse talking about the river flooding that is still ongoing in some of these areas across the upper Midwest. So more rain, of course, not what we need in that region, but that's what we're going to get as we get into tomorrow. Those storms will march across the upper Midwest. Today, though, here's the area that we're watching, mainly parts of the Rockies and parts of the plains. 6 million people are at risk of this, but notice what we're most concerned about. Those strong wind gusts up to hurricane force will be possible. We're talking 80 miles per hour or higher. This is going to be something we look for afternoon and into the overnight hours. And of course, the hail and maybe an isolated tornado, all possible as well. Looking ahead to tomorrow, we see that severe threat shift for 10 million people. It does include Des Moines, Kansas City, North Platte, Sioux City, and inching up towards parts of Minnesota. But again, it's those same kind of impacts. Mainly, we're going to be concerned about the stronger winds, anywhere from 75 miles per hour or greater, and then the damaging hail and a couple of tornadoes possible. This is the area that we're most concerned for with those strong winds. And again, it's going to be the same kind of go around with what we're dealing with today and tomorrow. Now, the rain, I mentioned it'll be concerning, and you can see why. Even another quarter of an inch or half an inch on some of these swollen waterways is going to be problematic for folks that have been struggling to even get back into their routine or into their homes in the past couple of days. So additional rain, likely the widespread amounts, a quarter of an inch to an inch. But notice you see some of these spots across parts of Missouri and Kansas that could reach 2, maybe 3 inches of rain as we get through the day tomorrow. Meanwhile, the heat not letting up for some folks. We do have still dealing with some of these heat alerts that we're going to be tracking at least through the day today. We've got triple digits, no surprise for places across Texas. Dallas ends up at 98 degrees. We've got mid-90s for Jacksonville. So those above normal temperatures, they're sticking with us through today, through tomorrow, and ahead into the weekend as well, guys. The summer-like temperatures across most of the East is going to be something that you'll notice. We've got 88 degrees on tap for Chicago on Saturday, mid-90s for Sunday in Raleigh, and the triple digits. They are still with us in Dallas Saturday through Monday.
Western part of the country, 103 in some places.
I know.
Wow.
It's brutal.
All right, thank you, Angie. Appreciate it.
Now to Capitol Hill, where House Republicans are threatening to force through a vote this week on holding Attorney General Merrick Garland in inherent contempt of Congress. The effort is being spearheaded by Florida Republican Representative Anna Paulina Luna. She made the announcement yesterday, along with 9 other GOP lawmakers.
When an individual is called before courts across the country, they appear. Why should the Attorney General, who is supposed to be head of all law enforcement authorities, any different? Garland still has time to comply with this request. We are asking that he bring the tapes to the House and let us listen to them. But in the event that he does not, we will press forward with calling the privilege motion on inherent contempt to the floor on Friday morning.
NBC News Capitol Hill correspondent Ali Vitale joins us for more on this and other headlines we are following all on Capitol Hill. Ali, good morning. So walk us through what's going on here. What exactly does inherent contempt mean, and what could this mean for the Attorney General?
Yeah, because your viewers who follow Capitol Hill might be wondering, didn't House Republicans just hold the Attorney General in actual contempt? Because they did that a few weeks ago. This is a step further, and it's also a really arcane procedure that even some lawmakers didn't realize existed, wherein you would basically be saying that if you hold the Attorney General in inherent contempt, you're basically sending the sergeant at arms to go arrest him. And especially given the fact that he's got a security detail, no one really knows how that would go. And so what we're watching here is not only the fact that this has not ever been used in modern times, but also whether or not they even have the votes to do this. It looks unlikely, but what we're probably going to see is Congresswoman Luna call this as a privileged motion tomorrow. That means that they have a certain number of days to actually take it up. The problem is the House goes into a recess for the July 4th week. So we'll see if this is something that gets picked up on the back end of that. But again, I'm not even sure they have the votes here, and this would be a really tricky thing to actually do. The other point that we have to make here is when she says that when people are subpoenaed, they come before, yeah, that is usually what happens. But when the head of the Judiciary Committee, Jim Jordan, was subpoenaed by the January 6th committee, he and several other lawmakers ignored their subpoenas. So that precedent has been set even just in the last few years for people to ignore their subpoenas.
Allie, another story you're watching, House Judiciary Committee planning to vote this morning on holding President Biden's ghostwriter in contempt of Congress. That is for refusing to hand over documents and other materials that were related to his work on the president's memoirs. What can you tell us about that?
Work on the president's memoirs, and actually this is the thread that ties both the Attorney General and this latest thread with Mark Zwanitzer together, the president's ghostwriter. It's all about the tapes that Robert Hur recorded when he interviewed President Biden around the handling of classified documents. This has become a major charge for several of the committees doing oversight, lowercase o, of President Biden and the administration. So you've got the actual oversight committee, the Judiciary Committee, all looking for these recordings. They're now trying to get notes on that from the president's ghostwriter. Initially, they asked for them in February. There was some back and forth. They then subpoenaed them in March, and now they're trying to hold him in contempt in a further effort to get what they want.
Allie, elsewhere, it looks like House GOP leaders are stepping up efforts to support former Trump advisor Steve Bannon following an order for him to surrender to prison on July 1st. What are we seeing there?
Yeah, ramping up their investigations, trying to wind back the impact of some past investigations, those specifically done by the House January 6th committee, which we should note has been upheld in court as a committee that was stood up properly, existed properly, and yet we're still seeing this rarely used committee that's mostly made up of leadership members. So the Speaker of the House, the top Democrat, all Republicans voted to basically intervene by sending a brief on Steve Bannon's behalf, effectively saying that he shouldn't have been held in contempt in the first place because the January 6th committee never really should have existed. We've heard this argument again before, and the courts upheld the January 6th committee. This is not going to be something that gets to the courts, our understanding is, before that July 1st deadline for Steve Bannon. But nevertheless, it's another example of House Republicans intervening on behalf of other conservatives and certainly on other Trump allies. We've seen them be the first line of defense in Congress for the former president himself. Now they're just sort of branching out and helping his allies, too.
Allie, thank you so much.
Much more to come here on Morning News Now. Later this hour, it's a landmark change that could save lives, expanding eligibility for blood donations to include more people in the LGBTQ+ community. We're going to tell you about the new summer campaign to try and encourage people to donate with pride.
Up first, though, after the break, violence and unrest in Bolivia after an apparent coup attempt fails. We will have the latest when we come right back. We're back with the latest on the war in Gaza. According to Palestinian health officials, another child has died of malnutrition after aid officials warn the enclave remains at high risk of famine. The dire humanitarian situation was among the issues brought up by U.S. officials during the Israeli defense minister's visit to Washington. Relief groups have accused Israel of not letting enough aid into Gaza. Israel, though, has blamed the United Nations for the holdups. NBC News international correspondent Matt Bradley joins us from Tel Aviv. Matt, good morning. So the Israeli defense minister met with national security advisor Jake Sullivan yesterday. As we mentioned, aid was one of the issues that was brought up. Reuters is also reporting that the U.S. officials informed the Israeli delegation that the Biden administration is continuing to put a pause on that shipment of heavy bombs. What more can you tell us about what happened in this meeting?
Yeah, so that sounds like there's no change there. 2,000-pound bombs. That one consignment of bombs was the one thing that it sounded like started off this whole round of recriminations between Washington and Jerusalem. And it started last week when Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu released that video where he scolded the Biden administration for what he said were delays in weapons shipments from the United States to Israel. Now, the Biden administration reacted almost in kind, saying that they had no idea what the prime minister was talking about. But that was about that one consignment of heavy weapons that the Biden administration has said their concern could be used in densely populated areas in the Gaza Strip, specifically in that southern city of Rafah, where operations are continuing. So this is a situation that it looks as though might not be entirely resolved when we see Yoav Gallant, the Minister of Defense, finally leaving Washington after this week of meetings. But the administration did assure him that $6.5 billion worth of military aid is still flowing to Israel from the United States. That's a huge quantity, and one that is going to continue, according to American officials, and this is all quoted by Reuters. So it looks as though Yoav Gallant will have done something, maybe, to smooth over some of those tensions that were sparked by the Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. Important to note that during a lot of these meetings, and we heard comments from Yoav Gallant, he actually made some pretty oblique criticisms of Benjamin Netanyahu for attacking the U.S. administration, one of the great benefactors of the Israeli state and its operations in the Gaza Strip. So Yoav Gallant, the defense minister, has been doing his best to try to smooth over these tensions. We'll see if he succeeds.
Matt, let's talk more about what's happening on the ground in Gaza. Our NBC News crews who are inside the enclave, they have been speaking with doctors about what they are saying, this alleged mistreatment of Palestinian medical personnel by the Israeli military. What are we hearing from them?
Yeah, well, we actually heard from a British medical charity recently just saying that some 500 medical professionals had been killed in the Gaza Strip ever since the latest round of hostilities began in October. That's about 2.5% of all of the medical workers in the Gaza Strip. And it comes just a week or two after the United Nations announced that the Gaza Strip is the most dangerous place in the world for aid workers, not just medical professionals. But, you know, in addition to those who have been killed by Israel's ongoing hostilities and attacks on the Gaza Strip, there have been those who have been imprisoned, and our team caught up with one medical professional who talked about the imprisonment ordeal for a lot of his colleagues. Here's what this person said.
310 of our medical staff are now arrested in Israeli prisons. They describe the situation there as a nightmare, a real nightmare. Our medical staff are regularly killed inside the prisons. Our message to the world is, please pay us your attention. We are just medical staff. We should be protected. We should not be targeted.
So as you can hear, they're talking about medical professionals who are on the front line of helping civilians in the Gaza Strip. This, as we're hearing that the number of dead from these Israeli attacks, according to Gazan health authorities, is now reaching nearly 38,000 ever since October.
And of course, this all comes as in Israel. There's this wave of anti-government protests and demands for that hostage deal. Matt Bradley, thank you very much.
The trial of Wall Street Journal reporter Evan Gershkovich is now underway in Russia. The proceedings come 15 months after he was arrested and charged with espionage. It's a claim that he, his employer, and the U.S. government all strongly deny. We get the latest from NBC News chief foreign affairs correspondent Andrea Mitchell.
Wall Street Journal reporter Evan Gershkovich on trial 1,000 miles from Moscow, now in a cell with other prisoners. Locked in a glass box, appearing thin, his head shaven, managing a thin smile, even nodding and waving to the cameras. Imprisoned for more than a year on a false espionage charge which the U.S. vehemently denies. Russian prosecutors claiming Evan was acting on orders from the CIA to spy on a tank factory. He faces 20 years in prison if convicted. Almer Latour, publisher of the Wall Street Journal, saying it's part of a methodical Russian attack on a free press.
His head was shaven, not by choice. That, I think, all fits this Russian narrative of making him look like a prisoner, making him look like someone who committed a crime.
Evan's parents in March were hopeful.
We are keeping ourselves optimistic. That's the best way we can cope with it. Pessimism will kill all the hope.
The Biden administration tried to swap Evan and another American, former Marine Paul Whelan, already jailed for 5 years for a Russian hitman in a Berlin prison, those plans falling short. Now those familiars say the U.S. is scouring other countries for jailed Russian spies who could be offered in a trade. Donald Trump claiming he could cut a deal with Russia if he's elected.
Vladimir Putin, president of Russia, will do that for me, and I don't believe he'll do it for anyone else.
There's no evidence that he could get Putin to release Evan. The U.S. saying everyone should want wrongfully detained Americans released now, not in November.
All right, Andrea, thank you. More international headlines this morning. A dramatic 24 hours in Bolivia as an apparent military coup in that capital city fails.
NBC's Claudia Langa joins us with that and more. Hey, Claudia, good morning.
Savannah, good morning. Well, that's right. A top army general in Bolivia has been arrested after he allegedly led an attempted coup. Now, on Wednesday, armored vehicles round the doors of Bolivia's governmental palace. Now, Bolivia's president, Luis Arce, vowed to stand firm and named a new army commander who immediately ordered the troops to stand down. 3 hours later, the soldiers retreated. The coup leader, General Juan Jose Zuniga, was arrested and an investigation was opened. Let's go to Nepal now, where at least 11 people died after heavy rainfall triggered landslides and flash floods, and 9 others were killed by lightning strikes over the past 2 days. Hundreds of people are killed every year in floods and landslides across Nepal, especially during the monsoon season from mid-June to mid-September. And let's end this tour of the world in Denmark, where farmers will be taxed for the greenhouse gases emitted by their cows, sheep, and pigs. Methane emissions from farm animals are considered to be among the main contributors to global warming, so Denmark decided to become the first country in the world to tax flatulence. The country's taxation minister says the aim is to reduce gas emission by 70% by 2030. But while cows will continue to break wind as nothing has changed, I wonder if at least the farmers will raise a stink about it. Sorry, guys, I think I've made this joke before, but it always works.
Yeah, it always is. But I have to wonder if the cows are like, hey, what about the humans? Like, why are you looking at us?
Yeah, that's right.
All right, Claudia,
good point.
Thank you so much.
Coming up, a shocking reversal. The suspected gunman in a mass shooting at a 4th of July parade rejecting a plea deal. We'll bring you the latest as the case goes to trial.
Plus, it's an inclusive and life-saving change. New guidelines for blood donors, lifting restrictions on the LGBTQ plus community. We're going to tell you about a new campaign encouraging more people to donate with pride. Stay with us. You're watching Morning News Now.
Welcome back. In a shocking turn of events, the man accused of opening fire during a 4th of July parade in Chicago back in 2022 is now rejecting a plea deal. Robert Crimo III is accused of killing 7 people and injuring dozens more. He is now set to go on trial in February of next year on over 100 charges, including murder and attempted murder. NBC News correspondent Kathy Park has the latest.
A stunning courtroom reversal as a man accused of carrying out a deadly mass shooting at a July 4th parade nearly 2 years ago in the suburbs of Chicago rejected a proposed plea deal. Police say Robert Crimo III initially confessed to opening fire in Highland Park, Illinois, killing 7 and injuring dozens more. Lawyers were expecting him to agree to a guilty plea deal, which would have dismissed dozens of the charges while still facing life in prison. But when asked by the judge, "You wish to go forward?" Crimo said no.
We've seen him do these things before. He enjoyed the theater today.
Families who prepared for a possible sentence did not hold back their emotions. Leah Sunheim lost her mom, Jackie, in the shooting.
He is evil and manipulative and brought us here today probably knowing what he was going to do.
Karina Mendez and her sister Nubia, who was at the parade, are still grieving their father, Eduardo Uvaldo.
We need closure, and I thought today was going to be the day that everything was over.
Now, more heartbreak for families, with a tragic milestone just days away.
4th of July is never going to be the same again.
It's hard because that was my dad's, favorite holidays, but I don't think I'll ever celebrate again.
The trial will now push forward to February of next year. Meanwhile, next week, the Highland Park July 4th parade will be back for the first time since a tragedy. Back to you.
All right, Kathy Park, thank you.
We're continuing this month's Proud Out Loud series with a closer look at strict rules for donating blood. It is a health battle that the LGBTQ+ community has been fighting for years, though the tide is turning. Big picture, the need for blood donations is great. Red Cross data shows that the number of U.S. blood donors has hit an all-time low for the past 20 years. So in an effort to increase donation and make it more inclusive, the FDA expanded its eligibility guidelines last year, clearing the way for more LGBTQ people to donate, especially gay and bisexual men. This summer, to encourage more people to actually donate, GLAAD is partnering with America's Blood Centers for its Summer of Giving campaign. Dr. Jesse M. Ehrenfeld joins us now with more on this. He is a physician and the immediate past president of the American Medical Association. Doctor, thank you so much for joining us this morning. So before we get into this Summer of Giving campaign, can you remind us just some of the biggest changes to the FDA's blood donation guidelines over the past couple of years that have cleared the way for more men who have sex with men to donate?
Well, it's a long overdue and exciting change. And as you know, the FDA is the agency that regulates blood donations in the U.S. And last May, they made a change to a longstanding ban on people like me, gay men, from donating blood. An overdue change because we have evidence, we have science that allows us to expand the donor pool safely. And instead, everybody who's donating blood is asked the same risk screening questions. Have you had a needle stick injury lately? Have you been having sex with a new partner? And those questions are applied fairly, equitably, and it's opened the door for a lot of people like me and other LGBTQ individuals to donate blood.
And this is a deeply personal issue for you. You're married, you were a new father, and your son was actually in the NICU. Can you tell us a little more about what happened there?
Yeah, I'll never forget the feeling of helplessness as I was a new dad with a kid in the NICU. Ethan was born and he needed a blood transfusion. And because of this longstanding discriminatory policy, neither my husband nor I could donate blood, and you're sitting there in this moment wanting to help your child who's struggling. And because of this discriminatory policy that wasn't rooted in science, we're prevented from doing so. So this policy change has been really a long time coming, and it's allowing these criteria to be applied equitably across all segments of the population. So important as we try to reach the goal of having a safe, adequate supply of blood, which is always in demand.
I can't imagine what that was like for your family. So let's look at this here. The Red Cross reports it's seen this nearly 40% decrease in overall blood donations. Tell us more about the Summer of Giving campaign and why it's so important to try and encourage more people to donate and what it means to have more LGBTQ+ people be eligible to donate.
Well, the campaign couldn't come at a better time. The summer is a really important period because a lot of regular donors are on vacation and they're not donating blood at blood drives at the office and those kinds of things. And so the whole idea is to increase the supply while raising awareness of this policy change. A lot of people don't know that they're eligible to give blood. And so the idea is to let more LGBTQ people know that they can donate, encourage them to give, and hopefully diversify the blood supply across the United States.
Are there risk factors people should consider before donating blood?
Well, everybody is screened, and I will tell you the most common side effects, you may feel a little lightheaded, you may be a little bit nauseous. Those things are temporary. The long-term benefit of giving blood and the feelings that you get when you walk away knowing that you helped somebody, a kid like my son in the NICU, is priceless.
All right. Dr. Jesse Ehrenfeld, thank you so much for your time this morning. We appreciate you explaining this to everyone.
Thanks.
Coming up, put your wallets away. A new trend is pushing people to think before they spend. More on this challenge that's helping people save their cash.
And also coming up, the future of the NBA looking bright. We'll have highlights from day one of the draft. That is next on Morning News Now. Well, Welcome back. Well, we have been talking a lot about just how expensive everything is here on Morning News Now. Well, lately, people are getting creative when it comes to saving money. The No Spend Challenge is picking up steam on social media, and it works just like it sounds. No spending money on anything but those bare essentials. NBC News Now anchor Vicki Wynn has more.
No new clothes, books, makeup, home goods, nothing.
The latest trend catching fire on social media.
What if I spent nothing for the next 337 days?
It is a green day. We did not spend any money today.
The no spend trend, or so-called no buy challenge.
Tip number 1 is no window shopping whatsoever.
An online community gaining attention with millions of views on TikTok and a thriving Reddit community supporting those trying to resist the urge to splurge.
We spent at least $1,000 eating out every single month. This is why we're doing the no spend challenge for the month of June.
Anything that gets people to be more thoughtful about their spending is a good thing. If it comes from TikTok, that's fine.
Some vowing to go as long as a year, buying nothing but absolute essentials, foregoing clothes, gadgets, fancy vacations, and even dinners out.
The goal is to use up what I already have.
Others doing it 1 month at a time.
The pitfalls is that maybe it's just a flash in the pan, and you might do that for a week, maybe 2 weeks, but then when it's over, you start revenge spending.
It comes at an interesting economic moment, a pandemic-era spending boom that landed Americans with $1 trillion in credit card debt for the first time last year, with delinquencies now on the rise, and an economy that's leaving consumers with mixed emotions.
While the headline numbers tell you that unemployment is really low, the economy is still growing, the stock market's at or near record highs, what people feel personally is actually not that great. When they open their wallet to buy groceries, when they're filling up their gas tank, when they're paying their monthly bills.
Reports showing consumer confidence wavering as many Americans still feel the pinch of inflation on their wallets. Major retailers like Walgreens and Target slashing prices on everyday items, trying to lure shoppers back. But for these thrifty no spenders, it's the bigger ticket items that will have to wait.
Not shopping has allowed me to free up a lot of extra money, and any extra cash that I have, I take and I put towards my savings.
Whew, this looks tough. Our thanks to Vicki for that report. Let's give you some tips in case you want to try to take this on. So first, know your weaknesses. Like, for example, are you a person who loves to shop for clothes? Yes, guilty. Or eating out? Also guilty. It helps to figure out what kind of excessive spending you need to target. Second, it might be time to hit that unfollow button, right? Cut down on the apps and social media accounts that are going to tempt you to buy new things. And finally, go easy on yourself if you slip up and spend where you shouldn't. Take a moment to reset and try again.
I applaud those who are giving it an effort.
Exactly. This seems absolutely impossible.
All right.
Feels like, how can you do this if you have kids, if you live in a city? Like, I don't know.
Even if you could take
Good for
small
them, though.
parts of it and it helps you cut back and save, you eat out less, maybe that's
right. And we've both talked about trying that before. Like, we're eating out less right now.
Exactly. All right. More money headlines now. Amazon just hit a hefty milestone on Wall Street.
CNBC's Bertha Coombs is with us this morning with that and other news. Hey, Bertha, good morning.
Hey, good morning, guys. Yeah, it's Amazon's time to shine. The e-commerce giant topping $2 trillion with a T in market value for the first time yesterday, making it the 5th U.S. company to do so, joining Apple, Microsoft, NVIDIA, and Alphabet, the parent company of Google. Shares of Amazon are up more than 25% this year and more than 50% over the past 12 months. It did take Amazon a little bit longer than its peers to go from $1 trillion to $2 trillion, about 1,100 trading days. That's over 3 years, compared to NVIDIA, which was the fastest at just 180 days. Meantime, Amazon's is planning to launch a discount storefront to compete directly with upstart rivals like Temu and Shein. CNBC has learned that the store would feature low-cost apparel, home goods, and other items, with many priced under $20. It would also allow Chinese sellers to ship directly to U.S. consumers, with the aim to lower orders or to deliver orders, rather, within 9 to 11 days. An Amazon spokesperson would not comment directly on the plans, but says that they're always looking for new ways to work with their selling partners. And finally, Paramount continues to clean house. Just days after shutting the website for MTV News, the media company now appears to be doing the same with sites for Comedy Central, CMT, TV Land, and the Paramount Network. The Hollywood Reporter says users are being directed instead to Paramount Plus. The move, though, wipes out a huge trove of archived content, including South Park and The Daily Show from Comedy Central. On Tuesday, Paramount's co-CEOs told employees that they were embarking on a mission to cut costs. That's a big change. Back over to you.
Some awesome content.
All right, Bertha, thank you so much.
Thank you. Well, there is officially a new set of talented faces joining the NBA this morning. The first round of this year's NBA draft got off to a historic start in Brooklyn yesterday with the Atlanta Hawks selecting Zachary Rizache first overall. This is the second year in a row that the #1 pick came from France. Victor Wembanyama was tapped first last year and was coincidentally named the season's Rookie of the Year.
It was also the second straight year that the top pick did not play at a U.S. college. Fellow Frenchman Alex Sarr was second off the board. He's heading to the Washington Wizards. LeBron James's son Bronny was not selected, though, but we're going to see if his name is called when the draft resumes this afternoon. All right, coming up, she became an overnight success thanks to a TikTok video with a catchy call for a date.
I'm looking for a man in finance, trust fund, 6'5", blue eyes.
When we come back, we'll catch up with the creator behind the now viral video. Stay with us. You're watching Morning News Now.
Welcome back. LA City Council has officially declared Marilyn Monroe's former house a cultural landmark. But what exactly does that mean? Well, the storied abode is now protected from being torn down by its current owners. Now, that battle began last year when a TV producer and his wife bought the house planning to demolish it. But the couple ran into some snags when historians and fans of Miss Monroe protested against its destruction. Yesterday, the council voted unanimously to save the home. The iconic American actress tragically passed away from a drug overdose back in 1962 in that home, which was the only one she ever owned. It is now enshrined as a vital piece of Hollywood history. No doubt that makes lots of her fans very happy.
Yeah, wow. I mean, it's obviously an important place, so that's pretty cool. Thanks, Joe. Finally this hour, if you're on TikTok, even if you're not on TikTok, I have a feeling you've heard this before. Megan Bonney's creation. Well, she hopped on the app to share a simple, catchy request. She's just, I can't say this without doing it to tune. She's looking for a man in finance, trust fund, 6'5", blue eyes. I have a terrible voice, apologies. The viral clip has racked up tens of millions of views and even opened up some new doors for Megan. NBC News correspondent Valerie Castro sat down with her to talk about her overnight success.
I'm looking for a man in finance, trust fund.
It's being hailed as the song of the summer.
Finance, trust fund, 6'5", blue eyes.
New York creator Megan Bonney posting the 17-second TikTok in April, and it went viral overnight. The tune instantly picked up by DJs, spurring other viral moments like this flash dance in London, and NBC's Jimmy Fallon using it for a bit with Bridgerton star and current Hollywood heartthrob Luke Newton.
I'm looking for a man in finance.
It's now clocking in with over 50 million views on TikTok, getting the attention of celebrities like Paris Hilton and world-famous DJ David Guetta, partnering with Bonnie, releasing an actual song with her clip. Bonnie even joining him on stage for a show.
Can you believe your life right now? Like, no. Literally, no.
The 27-year-old, known as Girl on Couch on TikTok, wrote the lyrics right here on her couch.
This is where the magic happens.
In her New York studio apartment.
I think I first thought of finance trust fund, and then I think I was trying to find things that rhymed somewhat. And that's how I came up with 6'5", blue eyes.
What do you think it is about that 17 seconds that people have just glommed onto?
I think, like, the way that I sang it or said it or however I spoke it, it made it easy for, I guess, musicians or producers to, like, hear a beat in the background and be able to make it their own.
And even though the clip inspired this couple's dance at their wedding, Bonnie tells me she initially made it to poke fun at the high standards set by some singles, including herself.
I was trying to make fun of single girls, who I'm a single girl as well, who complain about being single, but then, like, have all these needs that are impossible.
Another thing that may surprise you, Bonnie is well aware she's no pop star.
If I was a struggling artist in LA and I saw this, I'd be pissed. Because, like, this random girl posts from her couch, and now she has a record deal, and it seems a little unfair. But to be fair, it's really catchy.
And even though the song has inspired some videos of women taking to the streets to look for a man,
I wish I was 6'5".
Bonnie says it's landed her a record and publishing deal, a talent agent and music manager, giving her the ability to quit her day job in sales and focus on her dream career in comedy and television.
It's amazing. They're just like giving me like the reassurance I needed to like do what I've always wanted to do, which is be my own man in finance.
Are you looking for a man in finance?
No, I'm not. I'm looking for like someone with a dad bod who like understands my humor, lets me shine a little, and then like balances me out. Listen, if he's in finance, that's great.
Looking for a man in finance.
So will there be a dad bod song now? Like, I'm looking for a dad bod. Like, would that be like how it would go? Or what? I don't know.
Oh my God! Give me the real one.
I don't know.
Just the blue
don't
eyes.
Know. Blue eye. I don't know. I have no idea.
Blue eyes.
Like, blue eyes. Eyes.
Valerie Castro, thank you
for
so
her.
much for that
Congrats.
report, because that just gave me that laugh.
That is going to do it for this hour of Morning News Now.
Don't go anywhere. The news continues right now. Good morning. Happy Thursday. Thanks for being here. I'm Savannah Sellers.
I'm Joe Fryer. Right now on Morning News Now, face to face. We are now just hours away from a presidential debate rematch that is set to make history. President Biden and former President Trump gearing up to go head-to-head on the debate stage tonight for the first time in nearly 4 years. We're going to take you to Atlanta for a preview in just a moment. Also this morning, a Supreme mistake. The Supreme Court admits a document related to a major pending case on abortion was mistakenly uploaded online. But a spokesperson stresses the ruling has not been released. We're going to dig into the fine print and why it could signal a victory for the Biden administration heading into November. Turmoil in Bolivia this morning, the South American nation reeling from a short-lived attempted coup that saw armored vehicles ramming the doors of the government palace before its president regained control. We're going to bring you those dramatic scenes and the uncertain future of a country in chaos. And schools out later in the hour, how districts across the country are working to curb a so-called summer slide in learning. They hope to keep students sharp over that well-deserved break. Got to keep the brain going a little bit during the summer. It was hard for me, but I tried.
Isn't it funny, too, when you talk about, since we don't have kids, like, wow, people are on their break now.
Exactly. Good for them.
Yeah.
All right. We're going to begin this hour with the highly anticipated first presidential debate between President Biden and former President Trump. It's happening tonight in Atlanta.
Yeah, the two debated twice during the 2020 election, with the third debate canceled after Mr. Trump caught COVID. Tonight's 90-minute debate will take place with some unique rule changes and without a studio audience. NBC News senior White House correspondent Gabe Gutierrez has a preview on what we can expect.
This is expected to be a pivotal moment in this race, and there's a real sense of urgency from both campaigns to seize the narrative. Today in Atlanta, a debate rematch with the stage now set between President Biden and former President Trump. Their first face-off in 4 years since the two rivals clash in a pair of tense debates.
This radical left. Will you shut up, man? Listen.
Ahead of the earliest general election debate on record, President Biden at Camp David, out of the public eye for nearly a week, huddling with advisors and holding mock debates. Former President Trump at his Mar-a-Lago estate, doing more informal prep. In the debate, Mr. Trump's expected to focus on the economy and the border, while President Biden will likely zero in on abortion rights, threats to democracy, and trying to dispel concerns among voters about his age and fitness for office. Some allies pointing to his State of the Union address as an example to repeat.
You can't love your country only when you win.
It comes as President Biden is facing increasing attacks on the issue from Mr. Trump, who recently accused the president without evidence of planning to use performance-enhancing drugs before the debate.
He's sleeping now because they want to get him good and strong, so a little before debate time he gets a shot in the ass.
The Biden campaign says the former president is desperate and resorting to obviously false lies. To minimize interruptions, the 90-minute debate will feature muted mics when the other candidate's talking. CNN offering a preview of how to work.
My volume remains constant, while Phil's interruption can be difficult to understand.
There will be no live studio audience, something both campaigns agreed to. But the former president is now complaining that it's a sterile, dead room and that you have no audience to read. Still unknown, according to multiple sources in both campaigns, whether the bitter political rivals will shake hands before or after the debate, a tradition they skipped in 2020 at the height of the pandemic. 4 years earlier, Mr. Trump and his rival Hillary Clinton also declined a handshake. For both candidates, tonight is a crucial test to appeal to skeptical voters who dislike both options.
And adding to the drama, the top contenders for Mr. Trump's highly anticipated VP pick are expected here in Atlanta tonight, including North Dakota Governor Doug Burgum and Senators J.D. Vance and Marco Rubio.
All right, Gabe, thank you so much. And we will have much more on this first presidential debate hosted by CNN throughout the day here on NBC News Now. And then tonight, special live coverage will get underway at 7 p.m. Eastern time. Then the debate itself is at 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 Pacific, right here on NBC News Now, as well as on NBC.
It is decision day again today at the Supreme Court as we await the rulings from 12 outstanding argued cases.
2 decisions were released yesterday by the High Court. Then, though, later in the day, a document related to a pending abortion case was posted by accident. It was obtained by Bloomberg Law before it was removed from the website. Bloomberg posted a copy of the document. NBC News could not independently verify it, though. It's not known whether it was a draft or the actual decision, or maybe neither. NBC News legal analyst Danny Ceballos joins us here in studio for more on this. Danny, good morning. Let's start there on that document. So a Supreme Court spokeswoman confirmed, quote, this was inadvertently and briefly uploaded and added that the ruling has not been released. What do you make, though, of what we saw and what we learned? And remind us the backstory on this particular case.
Even though it's true that this is not necessarily what the final decision will look like, it's probably a pretty good indicator because these arguments, or these opinions, I should say, seem pretty well formed. Although the document itself certainly does not look like the standard format for a Supreme Court opinion, which is published almost like a book. I mean, it looks a lot nicer than what we saw. So, yes, it looks like a rough draft, but a rough draft that's getting pretty close to finished. I wouldn't be surprised if we possibly saw the actual thing this week. So really at the core of this case is a battle between federal and state law. And the question is whether a federal law that requires emergency departments in hospitals to provide stabilizing treatment includes a requirement to provide abortions, and whether that federal law overrides an Idaho law, one of the most restrictive in the land, one of 6 states with very restrictive abortion laws that only contains very limited exceptions in which it is okay to perform an abortion. And if the federal law conflicts with the state law, usually the rule is the federal law wins. But the reality is, if this opinion is the opinion, we're really not going to get an answer to that question because the Supreme Court's effectively kicking it back down to the district court.
But it would essentially be a victory for the Biden administration in that case, because there could be abortions performed in emergency situations then, right?
It would be a victory, but with an asterisk, because the Supreme Court has not decided the case ultimately on the merits. This is one of those cases where you have multiple stays and stays of stays in the lower courts. So we are far from actually reaching the issue on the merits. All it does is go back down to the district court, and that preserves the status quo. And the status quo right now happens to be good for those advocates of abortion rights. However, the status quo may change if there's a decision eventually that changes it.
So a lot of people saw what happened yesterday, and they started thinking of what happened 2 years ago with the decision to overturn Roe versus Wade, how it was leaked 2 years early. We still don't fully know what happened then. We don't fully know what happened now, but there are differences between these two, right?
Massive differences. And I want to be careful here. You're right. We do not know what happened the first time around with the Dobbs decision, but the thinking was that that was a deliberate act. It might have been a deliberate act. In other words, an intentional leak. By all indications, this is a mistake that actually happens all the time. I've been guilty of it with the advent of e-filing about 20 years ago. It's a tremendous tool. It is an incredible tool of efficiency. However, it fills all lawyers with tremendous anxiety when you upload something to the system that you might upload a PDF that is the wrong version, that's an accident, that contains something that shouldn't be uploaded. This happens thousands of times every day in e-filing. The thing is, it's in cases that no one's ever heard of and nobody cares about. It's very rare for this kind of accident to happen at the Supreme Court and involving cases of such import. But Apparently, it will happen eventually to everyone, whether it be me, whether it be some other lawyer, or even at the Supreme Court office.
Yeah, wow. Also very rare that we have today as well as tomorrow, 3 days in a row of decision days. Danny Savalas, thank you very much.
There are new problems for Boeing this morning, with the National Transportation Safety Board announcing that it is putting new sanctions on the company. The agency says that Boeing violated its regulations by giving the media information that had not been cleared for release about that 737 MAX 9 midair blowout. NBC News senior correspondent Tom Costello just spent a day seeing Boeing's MAX assembly line firsthand. Tom, this was all part of Boeing's effort to try and reassure the public its planes are safe, right?
Yeah, that's right. This was a highly choreographed media tour and briefing in Seattle explaining what it's doing to regain the confidence of the FAA, the airlines, the traveling public. But the NTSB says Boeing divulged non-public information about how that unsecured door plug that was on the MAX 9 plane, you may recall, how it ever made its way onto a passenger plane. This morning, Boeing's problems stemming from that MAX 9 door plug blowout have grown more serious. In a rare move, the NTSB is sanctioning Boeing after its executives provided reporters with an update on how the fuselage for that Alaska Airlines plane made its way through the assembly line with the door plug not properly bolted in.
We believe that plug was opened without the correct paperwork.
The NTSB does not allow parties to an investigation to go public with information until that investigation is complete. Boeing remains under NTSB, FAA, and FBI investigation. The focus very much the 737 MAX assembly line near Seattle, where Boeing's reputation is on the line. The two MAX planes that crashed more than 5 years ago came off this line. So did the MAX 9 that suffered that door plug blowout in January. Ever since, FAA inspectors have been on the floor. America's aviation giant has admitted to a breakdown in quality and safety control. Now an all-out blitz to turn things around starting here. Tracking every job, every tool, every procedure. Why has it taken you so long to develop a top-to-bottom approach to quality and safety management that one would think this company should have already had in place decades ago?
We have a strong foundation of caring deeply about safety. What I also know is, though, we have to continually improve. And this is a chance for us to do it.
But Boeing is trying to reassure both airlines and the flying public that it's changing for the better. It generally takes 10 days to move a MAX through the assembly line. But if they identify a problem, they can stop the line. Right now, one of 3 assembly lines has a gap in it right there. That's because they identified a problem with the plane. They decided to stop it and check it. That's a big change, drilling down on engineering basics rather than increasing the production rate.
You want to start slow and then finish with a nice pop.
Rate is not my priority right now. Implementing safety and quality changes and listening to every member of this team is my priority.
I am extremely confident that the actions that we took have ensured that every airplane leaving this factory is safe.
Okay, back now to the sanctions the NTSB announced in the very early morning hours, Joe. The NTSB says Boeing will no longer have access to information that investigators develop as they proceed with their investigation. And Boeing will not be allowed to ask questions of other parties to the investigation. This happened, as I said, in the very early hours. NBC reached out to Boeing for comment about the sanctions. We've not yet heard back. Joe?
All right, a lot of important updates there. Tom Costello, appreciate your reporting. Thank you, Tom.
Well, that extreme weather battering tens of millions of Americans is showing no signs of slowing down. Parts of the Midwest could see more devastating rain this weekend as people in Iowa and South Dakota who were forced to evacuate return home to find their homes destroyed. Meanwhile, the South is getting no relief from the triple-digit heat. We'll get into the forecast in just a moment. First, though, let's go to NBC News correspondent Jesse Kirsch, who is live in South Dakota. Jesse, good morning.
And good morning. We're getting a new closer look at some of the devastation here in North Sioux City, South Dakota. Take a look behind me here at this neighborhood. You can see these buildings are collapsed and even the ground beneath them has caved in. Take a look off to the side here. This pickup truck is teetering on the edge of what remains of a driveway. So much recovery still ahead here as other areas brace for the potential of new flooding.
Overnight, intense storms sweeping through the Northeast. In New Jersey, wind gusts up to 60 miles per hour, downing trees and power lines. The storm also bringing intense pea-sized hail. Thunderstorms causing a ground stop for hours at airports around New York and Washington, D.C. This picture capturing a lightning bolt hitting the Empire State Building. Meanwhile, the Midwest is still reeling from catastrophic flooding that killed at least 2 people earlier this week and caused widespread damage. In North Sioux City, South Dakota, one resident sharing this frightening video, telling us she did not get any official evacuation warning before water started pouring into her home. On Wednesday, another resident, Pam Kale, says she returned to her home of 34 years to find it filled with mud. Some of her priceless family heirlooms lost.
I saw my life is gone in my home. We can only grab what we could carry out, so it isn't much.
More than 200 miles northeast in Mankato, Minnesota, floodwaters are still raging past the Rapidan Dam, which is still standing as the ground around it gives way.
Oh my.
Raging floodwaters causing parts of that community to crumble.
It's important for people to continue to pay attention to local government and the messages that they are sending out as well.
All of it comes as more than 20 million people face a summer heat wave that won't let up. Residents in Oklahoma and Texas dealing with another day of sweltering highs in the triple digits. While in New Rochelle, New York, the heat index hit 100 Wednesday. At a high school graduation ceremony, officials say there were 3 EMS calls for heat exhaustion, with one person taken to the hospital.
And on top of all of that, we've been monitoring tens of thousands of reported power outages still this morning across multiple states. Savannah?
Oh, all right, Jesse Kirsch, thank you.
As if all that's not enough, let's turn now to the tropics with meteorologist Angie Lassman.
Yeah, she's here keeping an eye on some tropical waves that could develop this weekend. Angie, good morning.
Good morning, guys. Hurricane season, of course, in full swing, and we've got a couple of spots that we're tracking here as we get into the weekend that, as you mentioned, could potentially develop. So let's break those down for you. We've got tropical disturbance 94L. That's sitting in the Caribbean Sea right now. It's kind of just a mess of really unorganized showers and thunderstorms, a little bit of unsettled weather, but it does have a 30% chance of developing over the next 7 days. So what does that mean? It means that gradual development is going to be likely as it moves north and west here over the next couple of days, but not looking at a great chance for development into the weekend. But nonetheless, we're still going to monitor that one. The one that we really are going to watch to likely develop here over the next couple of days is this area that's sitting to the east and south of the Cape Verde Islands. That's where we're going to see it likely move to the west and potentially develop and form into potentially a tropical depression or maybe a tropical storm by the time the weekend rolls around. The conditions are honestly unusually favorable for this time of year in late June. Only 2 storms have formed since the 1960s east of the longitude line of 51 west. So that means that this would be kind of a rare thing if we see this happen since the 1960s. Again, only 2 times before. So we'll watch for that. But here's one of the reasons why: really warm waters. We talk about this all the time. Those sea surface temperatures running way warm for this time of year. It's even warmer than it typically is in the month of August, which of course is a very active month for hurricanes, especially across parts of the Atlantic. So this is the development zone that we're watching. It'll likely happen before it approaches the Windward Islands. So we'll see that happen down the line over the next couple of days, and we'll keep a close eye on that for any potential impacts to land masses. Meanwhile, it is hot. No surprise. Talking about sea surface temperatures, we're also talking about air temperatures that are running way warm for this time of year. 21 million people are under these heat advisories, heat watches, heat warnings across parts of the country, mainly the south and the southeast. Those are the 2 spots that are a bit above average for this time of year for today. Notice we're running below normal for tiers of parts of the interior northeast and the Midwest, but really it's the heat that's going to get your attention with those triple-digit temperatures for Dallas ending up at 100 degrees. As we get into the day tomorrow, we'll head to the 90s from Nashville to Macon and down towards Jacksonville, and those temperatures are going to stay that way through the weekend. So triple digits again for Dallas all the way through the weekend. Prepare for that. Atlanta will be quite warm as well. Sunday, Monday into the mid-90s. Even New York City, we lost a little bit of humidity here over the past 24 hours. But by the time we get into Sunday, guys, back to the upper 80s we go. So summer is indeed in the air.
And it is sticking around.
It is.
Sticking being the key word. All right, Angie, thank you. We're learning new details this morning. morning about the death of beloved actor Matthew Perry. The Friends star was found unresponsive in his home with drugs in his system back in October. Now NBC News is learning we could see charges in the case. NBC News contributing correspondent Kaylee Hartung joins us now with these developments. Kaylee, good morning.
Hey, good morning, Joe. So the LAPD is investigating the circumstances of Matthew Perry's death. They're trying to determine who supplied the beloved actor with the powerful drug ketamine. And this morning, a law enforcement source familiar with the case says, yes, several people could soon face charges.
This morning, new details on potential charges in the death of actor Matthew Perry. A law enforcement source familiar with the investigation into how he obtained the ketamine that contributed to his death, telling NBC News several people who supplied Perry with the drug could face federal charges. Perry was found unresponsive in a hot tub at his Pacific Palisades home last October. The LA County Medical Examiner's Office says he died from the acute effects of ketamine, a powerful anesthetic approved by the FDA to treat depression under doctor supervision, but one that can also be used recreationally. The autopsy report states Perry was on ketamine infusion therapy for depression and anxiety, something the actor described in his 2022 memoir.
Ketamine felt like a giant exhale.
But the autopsy report says the ketamine in his system could not have been from his last therapy session, which was a week and a half before he died, saying the level found in his blood was equivalent to the amount used for general anesthesia. Perry had always been open about his long struggle with addiction.
It wants you sick, and then it wants to kill you.
Perry rose to TV superstardom on the hit 90s sitcom Friends as Chandler Bing. In recent weeks, his co-stars opening up about the loss of their dear friend.
Oh, God, don't make me cry.
Jennifer Aniston moved to tears when asked what it's like to watch the show now.
No, I'm okay. Okay. It's a happy tears.
Courtney Cox, who played Perry's on-screen wife, says she still feels his spirit.
He visits me a lot, if we believe in that. I talk to my mom, my dad, Matthew. I feel like there are a lot of people that guide us.
While Lisa Kudrow says she's now rewatching the iconic show to help keep Perry's memory alive, telling The Hollywood Reporter, it's just celebrating how hilarious he was, and that is what I want to remember.
So this is an ongoing investigation, and a law enforcement source tells us there will be no immediate action taken in the case. But we have spoken to two sources close to Perry who say they've been interviewed by law enforcement as a part of the investigation, and were asked specifically if they knew anything about drug dealers or ketamine clinics that Perry used. Joe.
All right, Kaylee, thank you so much.
Well, there is much more to come on this hour of Morning News Now, including a look at the future of AI through the eyes of two leading figures in tech. Our Lester Holt has that conversation later in the hour.
But first, more on that dramatic failed coup attempt yesterday in Bolivia and the fallout that has left the South American nation in political turmoil. Those stories and more next.
We're back now with the stunning scenes coming out of Bolivia's capital in what the president has called an attempted coup.
We want to show you this video of soldiers storming the gates of the government palace on Wednesday after a top general and his allies vowed to, quote, restore democracy in the South American country. The rebellion lasted just 3 hours after Bolivian President Luis Arce named a new army commander who quickly ordered the troops to stand down. Joining us now from Miami with details is NBC News correspondent Marissa Parra. So I know, Marissa, this is just the latest political battle in the country. Catch us up on how we got here and what the latest is on the streets right now.
Hey guys, good morning. Good to be with you. So a quick wrap of history. Bolivia is known for its coups. In fact, professors who study this at universities have largely pointed to Bolivia as the country that has had the most coups and coup attempts since 1950. And so Bolivia is no stranger to exactly that. We saw this actually just years ago in 2019. Evo Morales was ousted because of a successful coup. And so what we saw in recent months, we have seen financial turmoil. This is a country that has already known poverty. And in recent months, this all sort of reached a fever pitch, if you will, with economic turmoil. And so now we had what we saw yesterday. And you mentioned that lasted several hours, kind of quieting down with the arrest of that general, guys. But so many questions, of course, on what happens now and how the country moves forward with yet another coup to add to the list, guys.
Yeah, so the Army's former commander has been arrested, as you said, after an investigation by the Attorney General there. What was that investigation like? What happens to him now? And are there others that are involved?
Great question, because that investigation just now beginning. We've seen the statements coming in overnight, especially from the current government right now vowing, quote, swift justice, saying that he will be tried. That general you were talking about, he will be tried, and they're seeking prison time for him. But one thing that was interesting, one thing a lot of people are talking about is who exactly was behind this. The general himself didn't claim to be behind this, but it did appear that he was, as he was, chanting. He was, of course, at the forefront of that movement that we saw yesterday. But as he was being arrested, guys, what I thought was really interesting is he was claiming that it was the current president, Luis Arce, who told him and kind of encouraged him to do this, saying he needed something to boost his popularity. So right now, guys, is the tough and tricky part of really trying to get to the bottom of who exactly was behind this, and that is something that always takes some time to really uncover.
Considering that this country is suffering from this severe economic crisis, what does this mean for stability within the country? Could we see more political shockwaves in the near future?
It's definitely not out of the question. We're supposed to have an election next year. And so there's a lot of questions on what this could mean for that and who gains from this. And so what we have in terms of that election that is scheduled for end of next year, it was supposed to be President Luis Arce, the current president, and Evo Morales. And so there's a lot of questions on if this will try to be spun in a way to delay that election. I think only time will tell, but certainly isn't going to do anything good for a country that was already in financial turmoil, now further in political turmoil as well. Joe and Savannah.
All right, Marissa, thank you so much. More international news now. Kenya's president is pulling a controversial tax plan after days of deadly protests.
Claudio Lavango joins us from Rome with that and more. Claudio, good morning.
That's right, Savannah and Joel. Well, following violent protests in Kenya over a new tax proposal, the country's president, William Ruto, decided to back down and just not sign that bill. Well, now the finance bill sparked mass protests and violent clashes with riot police that left at least 23 people dead in the capital, Nairobi, in the past couple of days. Despite the president's announcement, protesters in Kenya say they will go ahead with what they call the 1 million people march today, and invited people from all over the country to return to the streets and block roads leading to the capital. Let's go to New York now, where the former president of Honduras, Juan Orlando Hernandez, has been sentenced to 45 years in prison for drug trafficking. Hernandez was extradited to the U.S. in 2022 after the Department of Justice filed 3 charges related to drug trafficking against him. He's accused of conspiring with drug cartels during his term as president to move more than 400 tons of cocaine from Honduras to the U.S. in exchange of millions of dollars in bribes. And let's stay in the U.S., where an original watercolor illustration of Harry Potter has sold for almost $2 million. The artwork representing the young wizard looking puzzled next to the Hogwarts Express was painted for the first edition of J.K. Rowling's Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone. It was first auctioned in 2001 for a little more than $100,000 and was expected to sell for a maximum $600,000. But as if by magic, in the end, it sold for 3 times the expected price to become the most valuable Harry Potter item ever sold. Back to you guys.
Wow, whoever got that must really, really love Harry Potter.
That's really cool, and it reminds me of that Devil Wears Prada scene, where she's like trying to get the manuscript.
Get the manuscript, which probably might be worth the same.
Exactly.
All right. Claudio, thank you. Appreciate it.
Coming up, staving off a so-called summer slide.
As millions of students ditch the classroom for summer vacation, how are school districts across the country working to prevent a lapse in learning over the next few months? We'll take a look. Summer is officially here. For most students, that means school's out. Well, kids are having some much-needed fun in the sun after a year of assignments and exams. Experts say that summer break can have mixed consequences when it comes to academic success. NBC News Now anchor Zinkley Esamoah takes a closer look at the so-called summer slide.
The school year is done, and students are gearing up for summer fun. But experts worry all that time off is responsible for the so-called summer slide. Put simply,
it's kind of a test score drop as a result of the long summer break that kids have.
Multiple studies finding students' test scores flatten or drop following summer break. It's a problem only amplified by the pandemic. Post-pandemic, U.S. students grades 3 through 8 lost a half year of math and a quarter year of English learning. In one assessment, average scores for 9-year-olds dropped 5 points in reading from 2020 to 2022. That's the largest drop in reading since 1990. In 2021, New York Public Schools created Summer Rising, an attempt to bridge that gap.
We're a big part of the comeback of the city, a big part of the comeback of our New York City public schools.
It's a free summer program for students K through 8.
They get breakfast, lunch. So kids are going on trips. They're going to cultural institutions. They're going to museums.
No program is perfect, and Summer Rising does have a large wait list. The chancellor says more funding could change that.
People may look at summer programs around the country, including in New York, and go, well, why aren't the students learning enough during the school year? What do you say to them?
They are. First of all, this is separate and apart from some of our kids who have just fallen way behind. This program is designed really for acceleration, to help kids stay engaged. Every urban center is always concerned about the amount of idle time that young people have.
And it's not just New York. About 90% of school districts offered summer programs with an academic focus in 2022. Quick history lesson. How did summer break come to be in the U.S.?
As early as the 1600s, late 1600s, schools in America, or pre-America, right, were actually 12 months. During the industrialization, we started to go back, and since then, summer vacation has become the clock of the United States.
Today, some districts are experimenting with a year-round model.
It has been decades since the Beaufort County School District has changed its academic calendar.
Earlier this year, a South Carolina district signing off on a modified year-round schedule for the upcoming school years. 3% of public schools operate on some type of 12-month cycle as of 2018.
Research on academics show that really it's more time in school than it matters quite as much how it's distributed.
Meaning, however schools break up their semesters, the important thing, according to experts, is to keep students engaged year-round.
I hope really is that every child in New York City has a place to be, where they have an opportunity to continue to grow.
And that's the summer slide, simply explained.
Our thanks to Zin Clay for that report.
Well, speaking of helping kids stay engaged this summer, there is a new study out about how much screen time kids are getting. And it's bad news for parents who struggle with putting down their own phones.
Research published this month in the Journal of Pediatric Research took a look at the connection between parenting approaches and screen use among early adolescents, that's 12 and 13-year-olds. It found that one of the biggest indicators for how much time a kid spent on their devices was their parents' screen time.
Yeah, according to the survey, parent screen use, family mealtime screen use, being on a cell phone at the dinner table, and then also bedroom screen use were associated with greater adolescent screen time.
Joining us now for more is NBC News medical contributor Dr. Kavita Patel. Dr. Patel, good morning. All right, this might not be surprising, but a lot of parents already feel guilty that they're modeling unhealthy behavior to their kids by how much they use their phones. Walk us through some of the study's findings. How does a parent's screen time impact their child's screen use?
Yeah, Joe and Savannah, this was a study that looked at 10,000 households that had adolescents aged 12 to 13 in that household. And it really just went through a series of questions with the parents to determine exactly what you touched on. When are you looking at the screen? 73% of the people surveyed actually said that they're regularly using their phones around those adolescents. And then when they asked those detailed questions, are you using it at mealtime? Do you find that you're using it when you are not having other things to do and you're just picking it up mindlessly? There were most of the parents that said, yes, we are mostly picking up our phones, doing it around our adolescents, and doing it during those times that we often say, hey, put your phone down, like at mealtime, even at bedtime while you're trying to wind down and go to bed.
So what's the best way to go about, even having this conversation so it doesn't just feel like your kid's in trouble or they're going to be mad at you or feel like they're getting left out about what they're missing on their phones? How do you talk about this?
Right. Yeah, Savannah, I think the biggest myth is that like you can't talk to teenagers or to adolescents. And the truth is you can. You just have to do it honestly. I think you and I all know that they can detect when you're not telling the truth or when you're not being completely present and mindful. So the key is really to actually bring them into the conversation. And it's by first being honest and saying, you know what, here's why I kind of sometimes pick up my phone and look at it. And when I'm looking at it, I am looking at, fill in the blank, Instagram, TikTok, et cetera, because then you get onto a level kind of understanding. They know you're looking at your phone. You know you're looking at your phone, and they want to understand why you do it. And you want to understand why they do it and set some rules around that. And then you can really start to get into patterns. But I think it also starts with asking yourself, I'm trying to do this myself. Kind of ask yourself who, what, when, where, and why. So this is just me before I grab my phone. Who are the people I am around that I should be paying attention to? What am I actually planning to use my phone for? And be honest. If it's just scroll on social media, just tell yourself, I just want to scroll on social media. Then when? Is it really urgent? Where are you doing it? And where are you? Are you happy with where you're at right now? And then why are you doing it? So who, what, when, where, why? It has helped me in the last couple of days just put my phone down and then also create some cell-free zones. I put the charger for our family kind of away from the breakfast or dinner table so that I have to put the phone there. They all put their devices there, and then we can have a conversation.
Great tips. Easier said than done, but everybody should give it a shot. Dr. Kavita Patel, thank you very much.
Coming up, we are digging into the future of artificial intelligence.
Yeah, after the break, our own Lester Holt's conversation with a pair of the biggest names in tech, OpenAI's Sam Altman and Airbnb's Brian Chesky. Their takes on where the industry is headed and the controversies along the way. That's next. Welcome back. Well, one of the most powerful names in artificial intelligence, OpenAI CEO Sam Altman. OpenAI is the creator of ChatGPT. Altman sat down with nightly news anchor Lester Holt for a discussion about the future of technology. We're also joined by Airbnb's CEO for this event at the Aspen Ideas Festival, where our parent company, NBC Universal News Group, is the official media partner. Here's some of their conversation.
Sam, what percentage of this audience do you think has in some way interacted with AI today?
I would bet most.
ChatGPT's November 2022 release kicked off a frenzy over artificial intelligence, skyrocketing OpenAI CEO Sam Altman to fame and scrutiny. Courted by Washington, striking deals with the biggest companies in tech, then fired by the company he co-founded, reinstated just a few days later.
You were fired from your own company. Why?
It was obviously a super painful experience, but I do understand why anxiety levels are so high. I think the previous board members, they're nervous about the continued development of AI, had whatever feelings they had about me and how we were doing things.
You were picking up the phone, Brian.
Yes.
Explain that.
Well, I remember, so maybe just to go back in time, what I noticed in those first 24 hours was not a lot of people sticking up for Sam. And I, in my darkest times, in my crisis, have had people stick up for me. And at no point in the 5 days this went down did Sam ever, even for a second, focus on self-preservation.
We talked about how AI already has gone in some very troubling directions. The technology making it easy to target everyone from celebrities like Taylor Swift and Emma Watson to school children with fake AI-generated illicit imagery.
How is the industry going to respond to this?
I mean, we think the industry needs to take a super strong stance on that. We've tried to be not only very loud in our calls for regulation to prevent some of these these misuses, which I think is happening, but also to set a really good example in the products and services we offer and hold ourselves to a very high bar.
But were these things inevitable? I mean, you clearly saw the risk coming as this technology was maturing.
Like deepfakes and stuff?
Deepfakes, yeah, face swapping.
Yeah. It was inevitable that the technology was going to be capable of that. In some places, we are going to draw a line. And face swapping, deepfake revenge porn is a great place to draw a line.
OpenAI has stunned people with its capabilities, like video creation from simple text prompts. But Altman says the ambitions for his company go much further, comparing it to the Manhattan Project development of the atomic bomb.
Was that helpful for you as you try to make your case?
I mean, we try to give a number of historical analogies because we think it is important. So we can say there were some things about the Manhattan Project that are like what we're doing now. There's some things about the Apollo program. There are some things about the iPhone. But what I think is important is to say, here are the parts where we can look to a historical analogy, and here are the parts where we can't. And the shape of this technology and kind of the decisions and the impact, it is fundamentally like a little bit different than anything I think we've done before.
I think it's different than the Manhattan Project. It's not a race. It's not going to be done in secret. And I think nations can collaborate together, and there could be a transnational kind of group or body that could really kind of align to make sure we're all on the same page.
We think that's super important to get some sort of global framework and cooperation. I think we're really going to need that.
Our thanks to Lester for bringing us that conversation.
Now to financial headlines and the latest read on unemployment out just this morning.
CNBC's Frank Holland joins us this morning with that and other news. Hi, Frank. Good morning.
Hey, good morning. Great to see you both. We're getting a fresh look on the U.S. economy and the labor market. Let's start with the labor market. Jobless claims coming in at 235,000, a decline from the last read of 238,000. Just for clarity, jobless claims are the number of workers applying for unemployment for the first time. We also got the final read on Q1 GDP, 1.4% higher year over year. It was a significant drop off from Q4. Throughout the day here on CNBC, we'll look at the impact of these reports on the market. Shifting out of tech, Google has added new mobile shortcuts to its Chrome Action feature that will let you call, read reviews, or get directions to a restaurant or another business right from the address bar. Google Actions, which was rolled out all the way back in 2020, lets you quickly do all that and much more by typing in what you want to do, such as edit passwords or translate this page. And Americans, they may be having some buyer's remorse when it comes to electric cars. New data from McKinsey shows nearly half of EV owners say they are very likely to switch back to a gas-powered car for their next purchase. The biggest reason for the shift is the lack of available chargers, followed by the total cost of owning an EV. The Biden administration has committed billions of dollars to building 500,000 charging stations by the end of this decade. Those are your CNBC headlines. Back over to you.
All right, Frank, thank you so much.
Great to see you.
Out west, the birth of a rare white bison at Yellowstone National Park is being celebrated by the area's indigenous tribes with a powerful series of sacred ceremonies. NBC News correspondent Steve Patterson has been watching and joins us now to explain the significance. Steve, good morning.
Joe, good morning to you. For many, it does not get much more impactful than this. In Yellowstone National Park, there has never been a record of a white calf born inside the park. It is a sacred event for several tribes in this area, and we were there for one of the most powerful events, the naming. Here it is. Check it out.
This morning, a once-in-a-generation celebration for a miracle from Mother Nature.
We are here because this is a very momentous time in our history.
A rare white American buffalo born in the beautiful expanse of Yellowstone National Park, a sacred symbol to the proud men and women of the Great Sioux Nation, fulfilling an ancient prophecy.
Did you think this would happen in your lifetime?
No, I never thought this would happen in our generation.
Indigenous groups from across the country coming together to celebrate in song and ceremony. Before the big reveal, a name.
Wakangli returns sacred.
Lakota Chief Arvil Lookinghorse says it's akin to a second coming for several tribes, the return of an ancient spirit promising strength and abundance, but also a warning.
It's a warning for us to do something.
This is the first record of a white bison calf ever being spotted in Yellowstone.
It feels unreal.
Tour guide and amateur photographer Jordan Creech was leading park visitors when he stumbled upon the herd with the newborn. Right guy, right place, right lens, and sure enough, a white baby bison.
I showed it to my boss, and he's like, yeah, absolutely, that's a white bison. That's not like an unusually white bison calf. That is a white bison.
What's running through you when you hear that?
It seemed unreal that I just was so lucky to be one of maybe a dozen people that got photographs of this thing, and I don't think it's been seen since.
But for Chief Lookinghorse, it's been a lifelong journey.
It just brings tears into my eyes every time I think about it.
A spiritual rebirth in white, almost like a blank slate. the blessing of a new beginning.
What's the lesson that we should take away from this?
Mother Earth is sick and has a fever. And at this time, this is a spiritual awakening.
And as for the calf's whereabouts, perhaps an unsatisfying answer, but we absolutely have no idea. Part of the beauty of a park like this is that the animals, the wildlife, is truly wild. The native tribes don't track them. And so the lesson is really not in the life of the calf, it's in the birth and all of the blessings that that brings. Back to you, Joe.
Very cool story, Steve. Thanks so much for bringing that to us. We appreciate it.
Well, basketball's brightest stars are officially heading to the NBA this morning. The first round of this year's NBA draft got off to a historic start at the Barclays Center in Brooklyn last night, as 3 of the top picks were French natives, including the first overall pick, Zachary Rizache.
This is also the first time in NBA draft history that the #1 pick did not play at an American college. Here's what that top pick had to say on the so-called French Revolution.
I think personally it means a lot for all of us, but also for our country, and that's what makes it so special.
The second round of the draft tips off this afternoon at 4 p.m. Eastern, with Bronny James still on the board. All right, coming up, making Olympic history while proving that age is just a number.
After the break, our conversation with skating legend Andy McDonald on qualifying for the Paris Games at the age of 50. That's next. Stay with us. We are back, and surf's up for Saturday Night Live's Colin Jost. NBC Sports announced the Weekend Update anchor will be heading to Tahiti to host the Olympic surfing competition next month. Jost will be interviewing athletes and also add his commentary to traditional surfing coverage. Jost is actually a surfer himself, and he says he's obsessed with the sport. He says he is honored to get to watch the best surfers in the world compete. And by the way, this is only the second time that surfing has been part of the Olympics. The first time the sport made its debut was during the Tokyo Olympics back in 2021. And hello, he gets to go to Tahiti.
Yeah, no kidding. Win-win for him.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Let's keep the Olympic theme going here. A skateboarding legend is making headlines in the lead up to the 2024 Games in Paris.
Yes, that's right. His name is Andy McDonald, and at 50 years old, he will officially be the oldest person to ever compete in park skateboarding at the Olympics. He clinched one of the last spots to represent Team Great Britain at the Olympic qualifiers in Budapest this weekend. He himself is an American citizen, but his dad is British. Therefore, he is eligible to compete for England's national team. And we are so excited to welcome Andy to the show with us live this morning. Andy, thank you so much for being here. It's great to see you. Congratulations on qualifying. How does it feel?
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me. It feels very surreal. It was. It's still all just sinking in. It was obviously a really big weekend for me. I was a long shot. I was very much swinging for the fences, Hail Mary, and somehow the stars aligned, and everything that happened, everything that needed to happen happened, and I was able to put together the run I needed to get the points to qualify. They took the top 22 riders, and I qualified in 20th place. So just squeaked in there.
That's the thing about Hail Mary. Sometimes they actually work. So, I mean, you competed in your first pro skateboarding competition in your 20s, which I'm sure feels just like yesterday. You're no stranger to high stakes pressure. Walk us through how you train for it and what you're looking forward to most in these games coming up.
The training has been 2.5 years of basically learning a new discipline. Park skating in the Olympics is different than the style or the discipline of skateboarding that I've built my career on. People know me as a vert skater, which is kind of a two-dimensional skating. It's on half pipe ramps. You ride back and forth, but the ramps are usually about 14 feet high. And in park skating, you're skating in a bowl, so there's a third dimension to it. And all the ramps are much smaller, usually around 9 feet deep. So all the tricks you have to do are, you got to get them done faster. Everything happens a lot quicker. So it's a different style of skateboarding. I was trying to explain it to somebody that didn't skate. And I was like, well, imagine you've been like a competitive swimmer your whole life. And you can swim real good and you can swim real fast because your event is freestyle or whatever. And then somebody comes and goes, hey, water polo. You'll be good at that. You're going to do water polo now. And you're like, well, I don't know. Like, yeah, I can swim. So it's kind of the same for me. Like, yeah, I can skate real good, but now you got to do this whole other discipline. So getting to learn that has been very challenging, very frustrating sometimes, but super fun in getting to learn this whole Olympic process.
God, skateboarding just fascinates me. I can't even stand on a board without, I can't watch this video of you. Is just so incredible. It's amazing what you do. I know you also have a long-standing friendship with another skateboarding legend, Tony Hawk, and you've actually done partner competitions with him. What's that like?
Yeah, I met Tony when I first moved to California in 1992. We shared some of the same sponsors, so we did a lot of traveling together, and we would do demonstrations and we'd do doubles, like you're watching right here. This is actually footage from just 2 weeks ago at a competition in Salt Lake City called Tony Hawk's Vert Alert, and we did a Legends demo. So it's basically all us 50 and overs, and Tony and I still skating doubles together. We earned 6 gold medals at the doubles competition at the X Games, which is actually going on this weekend. So we've been here a long time doing it.
It's like the skateboarding version of like synchronized swimming or something like that. All right, so, I mean, you look like you're in your 30s, but still, for those who think, okay, I'm an aspiring athlete, but I feel like my time has come and gone, or I'm just not good enough to do this. We've got a minute left here. What is your advice?
First thing is just don't stop. You know, like a lot of people are just like, oh, I used to skate, blah, blah. And I'll be out at events and stuff, and I'll be talking to 30-year-olds that, oh, I used to skate, but, you know, I hurt my knee or whatever. Like, just don't stop. Just keep going. Like, I don't do any cross training. I don't go to the gym. I just go skate as much as I possibly can. I skate 5 days a week. I drop the kids off at school, and I go skating, and then I go pick the kids up. And really, I mean, the style of skating that I'm known for, the physics of it works such that it's not as rough on your body as a lot of people think. If I was a street skater and I was just jumping downstairs over and over, it would just be kind of too much on your joints after a while. But because of the physics, when you fall and you slide down the transition, the ramp kind of catches you, and it doesn't hurt so much. It still hurts. It still hurts, and it takes longer to heal.
We'll take your word for it.
Not so much.
Andy, thank you for joining us. So cool. Congratulations on making it. We can't wait to watch you.
Good luck.
Thank you guys for having me. Cheers.
That'll do it for this hour of Morning News Now.
The news continues right now.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app, or follow us on social media.